Allô. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Stephen, you tried to speak before me. Yes, I saw you. Welcome to the sixth and last session of the Air Cargo Forum 2020. We were supposed to meet face to face in Miami in November. It was not feasible due to the COVID situation. We still want to meet for real with you in the future. So we hope next year, but until then, we have also the next Air Cargo Forum in Miami, November 2022. In the meantime, we are very pleased to keep the dialogue open and to have had this opportunity for the past 2 weeks to have 6 sessions. So that's the last one today, on the focus on people for cargo, on sustainability for cargo, on airports for cargo, on the cargo for vaccines, very hot topic, drones for cargo. And today we are talking about collaboration and being united for cargo. So that's really the objective of today's session. I would like to introduce you to the one that you all know already, and he doesn't need any further introduction. Stephen Polmans, Director of Cargo and Logistics at Brussels Airport. and above all, the chair of TICA's board of directors. Stephen is going to really drive the session because industry collaboration is very close to his heart. So Stephen will talk about what happened this year. Well, we all know what happened this year, but just to recap some lessons. What to expect next year. Neil van der Voel from Clive Data Services is going also to give us an economic outlook on 2020 and 2021. And then we have really a fantastic panel with Stefan from Fiata, Turhan from Turkish Cargo, and Turhan is a board member of TICA, but he's also a part of IATA Advisory Council. For some reasons, we couldn't have Glenn Hughes representing IATA, but Turhan will be the voice of the airlines. We have Michael from ACI World, so really on the world of airports. And I know we are missing
Denis, European Shipper Council.
And I'm looking at my list, but Denis is not on my screen. Denis from European Shippers Council. Denis is also part of TICA's board, the voice of the shippers. We couldn't, because this industry is so large, we couldn't have somebody representing every single part of the industry, but it's still in the mind of our speakers today. So without further ado, Stephen, the floor is yours, and I think I have to share the presentation.
Thank you, Celine. Okay. Good day, everybody. Good morning, good day, good afternoon, good evening. And once again, thanks a lot for joining us on this sixth and last webinar. We are very pleased with the results we've had on the previous 5 ones, and we look very much forward ending this one in the most beautiful way as the best webinar of all the 6 that we have done. Setting the vision for the air cargo industry. So the idea is indeed to have the main focus today on the panel discussion on what is waiting for our industry as of next year, also the new normal after COVID, and what are the highest priorities for our industry, so that we as TICA can also take that into account when further fine-tuning our strategy. But before we start with that discussion, we first going to have a quick review on 2020. I will do a few slides only how we as TICA look at it, but then we will have a more interesting few slides from Neil based on the figures. It's always much stronger signal if the numbers can speak than when people give their subjective feeling. But I think the combination of both will be an ideal setting the scene for the panel discussion afterwards. So Celine, if you can give me the next slide.
I will, but I forgot also to mention that actually during that session, we are also going to announce the winners of the Sustainability Awards and the recipients of the Hall of Fame 2020. So I forgot, but it's also one of the important topic of today. And I'm
absolutely.
I'm going to move to the next.
So today's webinar indeed is the panel discussion about the future of the industry, and indeed, like Celine said, followed by the announcement of the award winners for sustainability, the Hall of Fame, and then also a quick wrap up of this first digital ACF. So when we look back at 2020, I think if there's one topic everybody will agree upon, it was a special year and not one that we had foreseen in our expectations when talking about 2020, when we were meeting end of last year, or even wishing each other all the best. If there's anybody who had a pandemic in his expectation list, please raise your hand. I think that there is a good future for you in predicting the future, and we want to talk to you. So the good thing for us is that in this COVID situation, and we have mentioned it several times, cargo has played a vital role, not only in the PPEs, but also for economies Without air cargo, world would have suffered a lot more than it did today. Um, We've also seen that after an initial drop, that volumes are gradually recovery. We are not up to normal levels, but that more has to do probably with a lack of capacity than just the demand that is not coming up. Load factors, and then especially we look at the dynamic load factor, which is for us more important because it gives an actual situation on taking into account both weight and volume, is at the highest level ever. Um, for many, air cargo is the savior of aviation, not only for airports, but also for many airlines, for handling agents, people who really depend also on passenger business. Suddenly, cargo is their only main flow of cash into the company. So that has been really important and put cargo higher on the agenda. We've also seen how important the frontline workers are. And the flexibility they have shown to keep this business going is something that we cannot underestimate. Also, to making sure that they are trained, motivated, very high on our agenda, and part of a sustainable future for our business. Digital, we say it a lot. And probably with more digitization, we would have even been able to do a better job. So something that we have to take with us as well. Um, we've also seen that if necessary, and we have said that before, we can adapt and we can change and we can do it really fast. Too often, we still need this external cost to do it. But as an industry, we have shown that it's possible. We have also seen that those who move earlier, faster, and more decisive are doing better today than the ones who have been holding back. And very important, also something that has been said in the past few weeks several times, but very crucial, we are as weak as the weakest link in our chain. Only together we can be stronger, and for that reason, industry collaboration is probably going to be key also in future, also in our recovery, to make sure that this chain comes out as strong as possible. And I think these are for me the main takeaways and observations for 2020. What does that mean for 2021? Um, and again, I don't want to set the scene, and I still hope that my panelists are not afraid to discuss any of these challenges. Don't take them for granted, but it will still be uncertain times. We don't know yet what's going to happen. We don't know the impact of the COVID vaccine, when it will happen. We don't know what the belly passenger traffic will do. So there's still a lot of uncertainty in the industry, especially in Q1, Q2, that we will have to take in mind. We will see a slow recovery of capacity. That's something we will need to take with us, and it will be determining 2021. We can expect bankruptcies. A lot of government aid has gone into a lot of companies. Will this discontinue? Will all airlines, airports, handlers survive? I think we have to take in mind that that will not happen and will have a big impact and might be disruptive on local or regional level, but also create new opportunities. So that's always the good thing of a crisis. We do believe that air cargo will be critical to deliver COVID-19 vaccines. I'm not going to speak too much about it. We had a very interesting panel earlier this week with a lot of information. It can be seen via the link on our website soon, or it can already be seen. So anybody who wants to know more, please go and have a look. E-commerce got a boost. It was growing strong. 2020 gave it a boost, and this will not slow down. And we also believe that the crisis is speeding up digitization. The crisis is not changing our world, but is speeding up a lot of initiatives that we saw happening. Digitization is one. In our personal lives, it's home working. It's the fact that we are now Zooming a conference, which we probably never expected a half year ago. And another one is going to be sustainability. Maybe a bit lower on the agenda in the past few months because we are all very much focused on our day-to-day business. But if we look at the big amount of monies Europe is putting forward as subsidies for the economy, and we see the link to sustainability and environment in the requirements for getting part of these subsidies, I really believe that after this COVID-19 and the new normal, sustainability will be very high on the agenda. No discussion on that one. And finally, very important, cargo today is higher on the agenda from everybody, from all stakeholders, airlines, airports. also governments, and that is something that we will see in 2021, but we still have to find out how we can make this structural and not lose this momentum. And I think these are, for me, some of the things that we need to keep in mind for 2021. But like I said, panel discussion will for sure go about these topics, but mainly not for 2021, but also longer term, which is indeed the structural challenges for the years to come for our industry. That being said, like promised, the more interesting part, the numbers. What was 2021 in numbers, and what do these numbers give us for a feeling for next year? And I look forward to welcome Neil van der Wouw from Clive Data Services, our structural partner when it comes in data exchange. So Neil, the floor is yours. You are muted, the most said phrase of 2020.
Good day, and thank you, Stephen, for your kind introduction. Let me share my screen with you. Can you just confirm, Stephen, that you're able to see my screen?
Yes, I see it perfectly well, thanks.
Okay, thank you. So, 2020 in a couple of numbers. Let me start by looking at the week-over-week growth in cargo volumes. Those are the blue bars in this graph. I'll explain the other lines a little bit down the line. So what we did is we looked at what were the cargo volumes on a global level in the third week of January. We set it at 100, that index, and then tracked each week. We tracked it up until last week, up until December 6th. What kind of global pattern do we see? And that's the top section of the graph. So what we see, of course, the major slump that we experienced mid-April during the height of the COVID crisis. And then there were many discussions going on. V-shaped recovery, W-shaped recovery, bathtub-shaped recovery. All sorts of projections were made then. But we believe it was all, from an air cargo point of view, less fancy. It was a good old gradual recovery that we've seen. Month by month, 6 months in a row, we've seen that the weekly volumes of chargeable weight have been creeping up bit by bit. Admittedly so, it slowed down a little bit in November, but overall you can see this gradual road to recovery continued. Secondly, if we would not look at the week-over-week trend, but more the year-over-year, which is the blue line that you see at the bottom, and we see that at the bottom, mid-April, air cargo volumes were close to minus 50% versus 2019. And so for each week, we're looking at what was the comparable amount in the previous year, 2019. And also here we see this gradual road to recovery, and coming from minus 50 mid-April, the last couple of weeks were hovering around the minus 12 to minus 13%. If we look at the orange line, which is the development of capacity, again year over year, we saw that it fell nearly just as much mid-April, but it recovered more slowly. And the obvious story behind that's the fall of the passenger services and the very slow recovery of that. Looking at the last couple of weeks, we're looking at that trending at minus 20% roughly, a little bit more versus 2019. And then if you do the simple math, and you will look at if the drop in cargo capacity exceeds the fall in cargo volumes, and there's only one thing that can happen, is that the load factors go up. And it had, as Stephen mentioned, quite a profound impact. So this is an overview, the weekly load factor since we started measuring in May 2018. And this is the dynamic load factor. So for those of you who are not familiar with the term, this is a load factor that looks at the utilization of cargo capacity, both from a weight as well as a volume perspective. And so what do we see? Since April of this year, the load factors have been very high. you couldn't even speak of a peak season. It's more a peak semester. Load factors in the summer, normally the slack period, were higher than the load factors that we saw during the peak season of 2018. And I know that feels like a decade ago, but that was a strong peak season for cargo, and load factors now are higher. On average, the load factors have been 7 to 8% points higher than they were in 2019. It's so a major boost. We've also seen some records. And you can see that in 3 weeks, towards the end of the year, we saw load factors of 72%. And people that might take that number at face value would say, okay, so nearly a quarter is not being utilized. But if you look at air cargo, we all know that cargo doesn't go two ways. It's often one directional. And looking at the trade imbalances that we have globally, those 72% means flights are very, very full and getting close to what is practically the maximum load factor on a global level. Yes, these numbers are on a global level, but we can see on the next slide that when you look at a regional level, load factors were up all over the place. For the TICA members on the line, and this is one of the slides we now share with all TICA members on a monthly basis, where you can see how the dynamic load factor has trended from one month to the next. So these are the statistics for November 2020, and the more darker green you see, the higher the increase in percentage points the load factor is versus November 2019. Just a few examples, North America to Europe, nearly plus 10% points higher. Europe to Latin America, plus 15%. And you can just imagine what kind of impact that will have on prices, because if load factors go up, prices go up. And they definitely went up. This is data kindly supplied by the TAC index. And it shows the bars indicate the year-over-year growth of air cargo rates for some of the major trade lanes. Europe to United States, plus 175%. Greater China to the United States, it doubled. And again, to put it into perspective, if you get a large full freighter now from Greater China to the United States, that will set you back close to $750,000. And so it's really pushed up the rates, and what we have seen is that this increase has really got the different actors in the value chain, shippers, forwarders, airlines, and revisiting the deals that were made in 2019, because the external force of these increases, made it necessary for them to renegotiate what was earlier negotiated. And a lot of the work from a planning point of view done in 2019 was put aside, and they dealt with the reality of 2020. So in a nutshell, from my point of view, 2020, because capacity fell much harder than volumes, load factors were really pushed up and sent the rates to the roof. If somebody would ask me in one sentence, what was the air cargo industry in 2020? 2021. Well, if 2020 told us something, it is that the unexpected, can happen and will happen. So I would be slightly foolish to tell you now, or have the confidence to tell you now, what is going to happen in 2021, because nobody knows. But this will be my best bet on what will happen. We do not expect that the movement of the COVID vaccines will disrupt the air cargo industry on a global scale. There'll be many numbers out there on how many flights will be needed, but still the uncertainty where the goods will be manufactured, and I believe you had a seminar on this very recently, but we believe that the current carriers have enough capacity to move this around, and if there will be any disruption, more likely on the ground than in the air. Linked to the vaccines, of course, is the slump in passenger demand, and from the stories we hear from airlines is that they have no expectations that the passenger demand will come back quickly, and therefore, looking at the low load factors that we see on the passenger side intercontinental at the moment, we don't expect a big need for additional capacity to move passengers around. So we expect the belly capacity to be well below the pre-COVID levels into 2021. As a result of that, cargo departments are in a unique position. They are in the limelight, of course, but until recently, cargo departments, be it of a full freighter airline or the cargo department of a combination carrier, they control their destiny only for 50%, because half of the capacity in the market was driven by passenger demand and not so much by freight demand. That has changed. Even the passenger flights that we see now, the freighters, as one airline called them, they can only fly because it has well-paying cargo in the belly, and not because of the passengers. As I said during a recent conference a while ago, or not too long ago, cargo was considered to be the free rider because the passengers paid for the flight. Now it's reversed. Cargo is paying for the flight, and the passengers are the free riders. And we expect that the airlines, therefore, they can control the capacity much more from the cargo departments or the cargo planning departments. They have a bigger say in how the intercontinental rollout will develop, because the airlines need the cargo, the well-paying cargo, to set up their network. And we believe that airlines will continue to closely match their network to the demand. And we do not expect to see, therefore, a drop in load factors, because they'll be closely monitoring the developments. If the recovery will be faster than expected from an air cargo demand point of view, we'll see capacity go up, is our expectation. Will it remain flat? Then we would not expect to see a major increase in capacity as well. Therefore, high load factors and elevated rates will be the norm, at least for the foreseeable future. And looking at that, so we're looking at, as I mentioned, shippers, forwarders, and airlines had to revisit their earlier made agreements because of the recent developments. And now we have a toxic mix of elevated rates and high volatility. Coincidence has it that an hour ago, there was a digital launch of the Baltic Index, air freight index, through which shippers, forwarders, and airlines might be able to have an alternative to the BSAs and the spot shipments in order to manage the risk and deal with the high volatility and the high rates that are currently in the industry. And perhaps that will become an antidote to that toxic mix. And on that note, Stephen, I would like to give the controls back to you, unless there are some questions.
Thank you, Neil. To everybody, just please keep on adding the questions below. Even if we cannot handle them straight away, we will still use or do that further on into the panel, and we can also still use Neil's expertise, and as he will be around as well. Before we start the panel discussion, I just quickly want to take 2 minutes to talk about TICA. As many of you know, we have been working really hard internally as an association on a new TICA, building on all the expertise and all the legacy we had, but also making a new organization, being stronger, more agile, more flexible, and able to deliver what our members were asking and expecting from us. We have been focusing a lot on it. It's not finished yet. It is an ongoing work. It will never be finished. Just as in a company, a strategy is never done and then you put it in a drawer. I think everything we have been doing lately to be closer to the industry, to our members, to focus more on what members are expecting is going to be the new DNA of TICA and something that we want to pay attention for. Celine, I know that you like this slide a lot, but you can go to the next one. Thank you very much. We've also defined a new vision for TIACA, where we really want to have a safe, profitable, but also united air cargo industry, that we are going to help this industry to embrace modern technologies, modern practices, and that we can work on sustainability and fair trade and social development worldwide. That's the vision that we want to bring forward for this industry, and that will be like the constant decision-making factor in everything we do. Next one, Celine. So also in our mission, it's our ambition to really set a vision for the air cargo industry. I think that we are uniquely placed. We always say we have members of every stakeholder and industry group in our association. So we should focus on not what diverses us, but what brings us together. So our focus should be on uniting the industry and the different stakeholders. We want to support, lead the change in the industry where appropriate, and support, lead where appropriate, support where possible. We want to focus much more on how we can disseminate knowledge amongst our members and the air cargo industry, not necessarily by ourselves, but we should become an entry point for this. And finally, we want to be much more active on the promotion of our industry, of businesses, of innovation in as a whole. That being said, and I want to take this opportunity to talk a little bit more about the new changes we are doing, and I really thank everybody for the support we got from the industry in making this change. That has been very, very positive and gave a lot of energy and support to everybody involved. So our commitment to our members and the industry is really that we are going to try to unite the air cargo, a very positive focus with a positive vision, what we can do together as one global air cargo community. We believe that industry collaboration is a must, unless the panel can convince me later on that it's not the case. I'm open for that. But we are indeed a very fragmented industry. We know that has some specificities that we have to take in mind and some weaknesses. And I look forward to moderate a panel with some great industry experts. Let it be very clear, all of them do represent a company or an association or stakeholder group, but at the same time, all of these people also are industry experts. So I've asked all of them not just to represent a company, an association, but also be on this panel from industry expert point of view. So it's my pleasure to welcome Turan, Turkish Airlines, and also representing IATA here. So welcome, Turan. We also have Stefan Greber. He is representing FIATA. Then we have Denis Schumer representing the Shippers Council, the European part of the Shippers Council. And finally, last but not least, we have Michael Russell, and he is representing ACI World, the Airport Council International. And that will be an interesting discussion later on, because he represents a group that we have not seen too active or not as much as we want in cargo. So thank you very much for joining, Michael. We love to have your point of view as well in this discussion. Before starting the actual discussion and seeing what we have said on 2021, and before we look longer term, I would love from all the panelists to hear quickly, what do you expect for 2021? And if you if you start, just before you start, 1 or 2 sentences on quickly introducing you, although I think for most of that is not necessary, but quickly your official title and the organization you represent, feel free to do so. And then quickly, what do you think that 2021 will bring for our industry? Denis, can you start?
Yes, thank you, Steven. So I'm Denis Schumer, I'm French. I'm the chairman of European Shippers Council, which represent the interest of thousands of shippers all over Europe. Well, our wish for 2021 will be to have more visibility, more stability on the capacity, on the pricing of this capacity by the airlines and the freight forwarders. Our shippers have been, I would say, painfully trying to adapt to the situation, COVID situation, by having short-term planning, rescheduling of their shipments and so on. It has been a very harassing springtime and summertime for them. So we hope they will be soothed a little bit by the new situation, even though we understand that it will not be before 2023 that restricted capacity will cease. So let's still hope for more stability in the market in 2021.
Thank you very much, Denis. Stefan, from your point of view.
Yes, thank you very much. Good afternoon. So I'm new Director General of FIATA, the for International Freight Forwarders Associations, and I'm expecting that 2021 will be a kind of transition year where we will start to relaunch the economy, and that's where we will have to look at the different inefficiency that we saw in the supply chains, in order to see how we can overcome that and build more resilient and sustainable supply chain. And I think that's the work we have in 2021 in order to have a strong and solid relaunch of the trade in the years to come.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, thank you very much. Interesting point. Turan.
Yes, thank you, Steven. So, Turan Özen, I am the Chief Cargo Officer of Turkish Airlines, in charge of global cargo operations worldwide and the brand Turkish Cargo, now since 4 years. Prior to joining to air cargo industry, I worked for 10 years in automotive logistics, manufacturing and distribution logistics, both vehicles and parts, components. So I worked as a first party logistics. Then the next 16 years, I worked in 3PL and freight forwarding, and now in air cargo, so the second party. So I think I had chance through almost 30 years of career to see throughout the value chain, throughout the different parts of the supply chain. Coming to 2021, I still expect quite challenging and uncertain times, though less uncertain than early last year or late last year, early this year. No one knew that when we were preparing our budgets and everything, that something like that maybe every 100 years or so hitting the world. But in 100 years, the world changed a lot. Like now we have a civil aviation industry so big and so strongly hurt. So still less than 2020, but a lot of uncertainties and challenging times, I assume, will be. The volumes hopefully will catch up, will relatively go up, and the fluctuations and the stability at the end of the tunnel, I expect no earlier than Q3 or Q4 2021.
Okay, thank you, Turan. Based on your experience, it was not a lie saying that I could also appeal on all of you as industry experts. And basically, Turan, we could have done a one-to-one instead of a panel, because with your experience, you do cover almost the whole supply chain. So use that experience, and we look forward to make use of it. And then finally, last but not least, Michael.
So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and thank you very much for inviting me to this panel. Stephen, as you said, it's not something that we have talked a lot about, the relationship between cargo and airports. And I was quite fascinated by your vision. So ACI is also a young organization, not quite as young as yours, but we are 30 years old next year. We represent nearly 2,000 airports, from the largest mega hubs all the way down to the very small feeder airports that are essential to the whole chain. And we represent both cargo-specific airports and those which focus almost entirely on passengers. So we cover the whole of the gamut. We have been looking at ourselves, and we also have a new Director General, Luis Felipe de Oliveira, formerly from sorry, I forgot where he's from now. I'll come back to that. And Felipe is very keen that we should develop a new vision, and that is that we aim to be the leading organization for the sustainable, harmonized and coordinated development of the world's air transport. So no ambition in there at all. What we're looking to do, though, and I think this is absolutely crucial to the point that you made earlier, is that we are looking to working much more effectively, collaboratively with the other parts of the industry. And I certainly see this as being a really good step towards how we can work more closely with TICA. So thank you again for inviting me to the panel. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael. So if we start at the panel and how we can put the priorities forward to make for the new normal and have a better and a more efficient industry, we always say, let's talk to the customer. Denis, in this case, you do represent the customers or the final customer, the shippers. So I would love to hear from you, looking at the air cargo industry. What is your observation today? What do we need to focus on, but also what do we not need to focus on? Because if we are spending time and money on things you are not looking for, maybe we also have to stop doing some things in the future rather than only add a few initiatives. So I look forward to hear from you.
Well, thank you, Stephen. As a matter of chance, I was involved in two webinars this morning. One was about the express parcel delivery across the channel after Brexit, and the other one was on greening the maritime transport, international maritime transport. And I can tell you that these two sectors are facing also very big challenges as well. But I will use them as a model or as an example of what to do or what not to do for the air cargo industry, for the B2B air cargo industry. Certainly, integrators, as we call them, for express delivery services, are able to individually provide us with fast delivery, with transparency of progress of the delivery, quickly report incidents, quickly assess the performance of their various service providers, and improve this performance as well. So as a whole, this is a kind of service we would expect from the air cargo industry on what you call the traditional air cargo industry, or the B2B air cargo industry as a whole. Not individually like the integrators, but collectively, in order to get the best out of every person, every company, every type of organization, and so on. We do not want the future model to be a model where the integrators or the e-commerce giants, they spill over into this market and they become dominant and they impose their model, because as you know, we want to have a diversity of services. We want to have differentiation between the players, which we do not find today. You do not find today when you are using the integrators or the e-commerce giants. We would like to have this diversity brought by a community of companies working together. Of course, this is not the case today. This is a very scattered community. This is a very paper-pushing type of processes. But we hope that through digitalization and then also through the fact that the challenges are very huge and can be more easily jointly met and won, this will happen one day. Certainly, we do not want to have an oligopolistic situation anywhere, either in the airlines, in the freight forwarding the sector, and so on. So we want to avoid that risk, but still for us, the integration of services as a express delivery carriers have been doing that is a future for you and for us.
Okay, more integrated services as the integrators, but it's clear that indeed you see a future for the traditional air cargo business as well, and that not everything should be in the hands of the integrated players, as we say.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Stefan, forwarders are often seen as architects of logistics and offer all modes of transport to their customers, not just air cargo. Do you have concerns for air cargo, looking at what maritime can do, for example, today, or but also the trains, how they are gaining traction between Asia and Europe? Or do you think that air cargo also on the longer term really has its value and its place in this whole offering and should not be too concerned?
I'm not so concerned for air cargo because it will always be part of the transportation mix. And as you said, as architects of the logistic, freight forwarder plays a crucial role in organizing all this transport across the various modes of transport, and taking into consideration different parameters and aspects, where with the ultimate objective to meet the needs of the customers. And it depends on the characteristic of the move, of the goods that is moved, the cost, the speed, the reliability, the safety of goods, the destination, the environment footprint. So I would say that air cargo fulfills an important role within the supply chain. We see it right now with the discussion on the vaccine, the delivery of vaccines. And it will continue to play his role because on certain of this dimension, it's a logical solution. So I would say from what we see now emerging from the crisis is that all modes of transport have an important role to play. And today and in the future, and for freight forwarders, we are really focusing on providing optionality to our clients. And in reality, in that, I'm echoing what Dennis just mentioned in his introduction. It's really about providing different options to the clients.
Okay, thank you very much. Maybe to continue on that one, from your point of view, if you say there is always going to be a place for air cargo, what do you see as the main challenges for us coming out of this crisis? Other modes of transport, and Denis already said it, are also facing challenges. What is the crucial thing you look at for cargo?
So yeah, I think it will be really the integration of air cargo with the other modes of transport, and for that we will speak later on, I guess, about digitalization. That will be crucial in order to facilitate and overcome certain of this of the inefficiency that we have today, and optimize the whole supply chain. Because at the end, what we are looking at is having an efficient and reliable, resilient supply chain. So it's really, and it's the topic of this panel in reality, it's really making sure that we work together in a way that we can deliver a strong supply chain for the end customers. And that will be probably one of the main challenges. And then coming out of the pandemic, and you mentioned it in your introduction, it's the environmental impact of the activities. And that's something that, again, it's not a single approach that is requested, because at the end, we look at, and the authorities and the public in general is looking at the whole supply chain and the environmental impact and the sustainability of the whole supply chain. So it really requires that here all the actors work together in order to address this request that comes from the market and make this supply chain more sustainable for the future.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much, Turan, I have this virtual background and I do it with great pleasure because I want to thank the sponsors. I like yours more. If I would have the real background, one of your freighter aircraft just landed behind me and is now on my cargo apron. So thank you very much for that one. But often when we talk about our industry, we are compared with, for example, the integrators. And I think Denis and Stefan already mentioned that it's about the choice. So maybe comparing us with integrators, saying we are less efficient is not the right way to look at it. Do you agree that we should not be too focused on just being compared with the integrators, that we should be more building our own product, being more proud on what we are doing ourselves?
I totally agree, Stephen. Totally agree. And in fact, this year, COVID-19 pandemic, I believe, showed this very, very, very clearly to everyone. Yes, certainly the integrators in certain type of services, products, have natural competitive advantage in express business, in courier business, in some, let's say, some sub segments of the needs. Yes, clearly. But when we talk about the total value chain of air logistics, air cargo industry, though it is fragmented, it is quite cost-effective, first of all, efficient. And now, with the increase of technology, with the increase of digitalization, APIs, RPAs, the cloud services that connects the different players on the same chain in terms of whole IT and technology and process flows. These are all helping air cargo industry to be much more agile, much more responsive to the customers' needs and changing needs and ever-changing requirements and expectations. I would say e-commerce is a good example of it, because as far as we can see from the numbers, more and more volumes of the 4 to 7 days delivery, worldwide delivery level in the e-commerce door-to-door delivery process are going more from air cargo flows rather than the fastest, however more expensive integrated parts, or in the very low bottom in UPU parts. Second example is, I believe, the COVID. So we suddenly lost 30-40% of our global capacity. The supply is stalled and parked in the passenger planes, with the passenger planes, the belly capacity. However, mainly with the freighters and some freighters on top of it, some passenger freighters on top of it, the global air cargo networks, with all these fragmented partners, from starting from shippers and forwarders, then airports and tarmac and handling management and air carriers, and again the same flow backward, from end to end, were capable to supply to the world all the important and critical goods, cargoes, products that needed to first fight against COVID. Drugs, medical equipment, PPEs, medicines, medical raw material, and now vaccines. And now vaccines is also the same. They are all and mainly running through the main and basic air cargo flows and of the air cargo industry. That's, I believe, shows how, as an industry, we can be agile, how we can be resilient and customer responsive when it comes to changing customer needs, changing requirements of the worldwide shippers, crisis, and everything. Therefore, I believe as the technology will continue to contribute much more to virtually integrate the partners without organically being integrated, the air cargo industry will be more like of a bunch of virtual integrators working together, very efficient and many times as effective as the organic integrators.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. I like it as well, the statements you make, that digitization technology is not going to make us a copy of the big integrators, but indeed will help us and overcome the current weaknesses in order to strengthen our current product offer to the shippers, to the forwarders, and to the industry. Thank you. Michael, often airports are being pointed at in our industry not doing enough for air cargo and being too passenger focused. Mainly those airports that do passengers, because the all cargo airports, that's a different story, of course. That also reflects on the agenda of ACI, where cargo is not that high on the agenda, although in the last 2 years, I have to agree that we had already very good exchange with ACI and that we were being able to host a lot of panels and discussions during your conferences. But how do you look, you as ACI, but also your members at Cargo today? Did it had a big change in the past months? Do you think it will fundamentally change how ACI looks at cargo? And what are for you the challenges if you want to deal with cargo now as ACI? Where do you ask support from the industry, saying, guys, we could help or could use some help on certain topics, understanding better what we are doing, or should?
A lot of questions.
Sorry.
Let me start from where you started, and that is the sort of the level of engagement between airports and the cargo industry. And I think it's important, and I touched on this in my introductory remarks, to recognize that all airports are different. Some of them are almost exclusively passengers, some of them are almost exclusively cargo, and most of them are somewhere in between. And I think that what we need to do as ACI is to talk a lot more with TICA, to say, what are the learnings that we can take from your experience with your membership, from our experience with our membership, so that we can start to build bridges in terms of best practice. Generally speaking, what airports do is they provide the service that is required by their passengers. And when it comes to cargo, then they provide the service that is asked for by the users of the airport. And many cargo facilities are not even on the airport. There are a lot of them are sort of off airport, and then the cargo shipment is put together and then is brought across the tarmac and loaded onto the aircraft. So the facilities are not provided by the airport, the services are not provided by the airport. It's all being done independently. All we are is the interface between the freight company and the runway, in effect, because the relationship is more likely to be with the airline rather than the airport itself. So I do think that one of the things that we need to be looking at is, if we are going to be providing an integrated system, maybe I should have used the word integrated, but if we're going to be providing a system that works, then as Neil mentioned, or did you mention, that we're only as strong as the weakest link in our chain. And we as airports do not want to be that weak link. We want to be able to make sure that we can provide the service that is needed. Now, just want to touch on another point which is related to this, and that is that we are members of the Air Transport Action Group, ATAG, and every 2 years we produce an Aviation Benefits Beyond Borders document, and it's all about the sort of sustainability and the development of aviation and how it can support the economies of countries around the world. And one of the points that comes out of that regularly is that air cargo is about 1% of volume, but So yeah, 1% of volume and about 35% of value. So we're looking at a different type of cargo there. So I think that some of this conversation about competition with trains and shipping, even with the new fast shipping routes, I think that there's always going to be a place for cargo. What we have to do is to work collectively to make sure that that cargo distribution system is the most efficient that it can possibly be. And it does mean that we're working with a lot of different collaborators on this. And it's not just the TICA and airports, but it's also the other parts of the chain, and particularly with respect to governments. And I think that, you know, you and I need to do more about how can we have a more joined up approach as industry approach that goes to governments and says, what is the regulatory framework that we need to make the system more efficient? So that's a few little pieces that I could sort of inject into this comment about, you know, the relationship between airports and the freight industry. But there is a lot more that we can talk about. And somebody mentioned environment earlier on, and I think that we need to come back to that as well.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Michael. I'm always afraid that I'm going to run out of questions before the time is over. That never happens, but maybe it's because I have too long questions that I'm asking. Denis, please go ahead.
Yes, I would like to add something which is very important for us shippers, where air cargo can differentiate and can make a difference with the integrated services. It's about safety and security, and especially safety. We have to make sure that the products that we are shipping, you have to make sure that products that we are shipping are according to the packing list, are safe, and are not, I would say, violating any regulation about safety during the flight and so on. And I can tell you, this is not the case, of course, of express deliveries. Most of the time, they don't really know what's in the parcels, or the information is wrong, especially e-commerce, but not only e-commerce. And they will be facing this challenge with the new customs regulation at the US border and EU border in the near future. But for us, we cannot afford to violate this safety regulation. So traceability of the goods, of what is in the ULD and the parcels is very important, and that's where we all of us can make still some improvements to make it 100% safe.
But just going back to what I said earlier, is that this is not a role for airports. This is a role for the health and safety authorities. But what we can do as airports is that we can provide the facilities so that they can do this more efficiently, more effectively. So it's, again, going back to the point, is that airports actually are maybe the oil in the machine rather than the machine itself.
Yeah, and I think also, Denis, that your statement was not specifically to airports, but to us as an air cargo industry, I believe.
Right, not to airports. Okay. Sorry,
yeah,
Michael.
Okay, perfect. No, that's okay. Yeah.
Stefan,
I also saw you raising your hand.
Yeah, I wanted just to echo what Michael said, because I think it's really interesting about also the work that we can do together towards the authorities, because what we saw in the pandemic is really how trade can be facilitated and can be optimized in times of crisis. And this was achieved because there were some concerted efforts of all the actors in the supply chain to do it and to work together to these results. And I think in that sense, we should really join our forces for the relaunch of the economy and look at issues like trade facilitation policies, agreements, and see how we can work here and have a joint message toward the authorities and the governments in order to facilitate trade, to help this recovery of the economy, and to really here join our forces, because it's in the interest of all the actors in the supply chain. So I really join here the point of Michael. And I think that it's also important here to make the governments aware that they need also to embrace technology. It's not just the industry, but they also have a role to play, and to ensure that these new technologies are embedded in their systems, so that we can really optimize and ensure a good flow of goods.
Yeah, thank you, Stefan. And Michael already mentioned it as well. We have many, for a small niche player, we have many associations and organizations. All these associations and organizations also work together in different committees, bilateral agreements or discussions. We have GACAC created some time ago, where TICA is part of it, but you, FIATA, as well, together with IATA and the shippers, not been very active. Sometimes I feel that in our industry, that we form a committee, we form a working group, we park the problem, and the problem is solved, like some governments do, but we are not really making a difference. So to all the panelists, and to finalize the discussion, can I quickly have, what are for you the two main topics we should work on as an industry? And how can we be more effective in our collaboration? Is it bilateral? Is it in working groups? Is it on a project basis? Where do you really think that we can become more efficient in our collaboration in future? Not necessarily, I'd rather stop two current initiatives and then replace it by one than just adding two, because I think we should agree that adding more associations, organizations, and committees is not going to make the difference. So Denis, let me start with you again. The two main topics for you to focus on as an air cargo industry and also as TIACA does, and how do we become more efficient in the collaboration?
For me, the two more important, I would say, parameters that we have to improve are trust between the partners and transparency, and these two go together, of course. I've seen one of the questions was about blockchain, which seems to be for non-experts the ideal tool to bring trust and transparency, but there are diverse opinions about the interest of blockchains in the logistics. So I will leave it to the experts if some of them are in the panel. But for sure, today we are in many cases in a position of being the vendor, the supplier of a service to a purchaser, or the purchaser to a service provider, and not establishing this chain of trust and sharing data and trying to improve bilaterally the relationship and the performance and to optimize the chain. So we need first to have this kind of trust being built at the market level, but I'm sure that TIACA can have can bring its stone in this building by developing more practice, the best practice sharing and innovation, information and innovation, and especially digitalization innovation, of course, in order that people understand that at the other side of the planet, something is going on which might be of interest to them. Because today, despite the social media and so on, we have difficulty to know if this experiment, that innovation is good enough for us, is optimized in terms of cost versus quality and so on. We know it has happened. We can receive the visit of a service of a digital service provider and so on, but what is a real usage of this innovation in order to make I would say the seamless supply chain and to make collaboration established between different players of this supply chain? We don't know if it's really adapted to us. So having this analysis performed at the TIACA level would be a big improvement.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much. Stefan, what are for you the two main things we need to focus on? And how would you like to see that collaboration in our industry moving forward?
So it's difficult because there is more than two, but
yeah, I want to give you a difficult choice.
But I must agree with Denis on the trust. Building trust is very key, and for me, digitalization is a tool to build this trust and to help in providing these networks of trust. So I think that's something we certainly have to look at, how we can interconnect the systems, how we can use this system in order to bring the people closer, working close together, and building this network of trust. Then I definitely think that there is a real concern on building resilient supply chain. And for that, it's about sustainability. And sustainability is not only about environment, it's really also about all the other aspects, bringing new people, new talent, new skills to this industry. Attracting also, so for example, women, so having more gender diversification. I was a little bit disappointed that we are only men on this panel. I think that we really need here efforts to bring younger people, new skills, different views in the industry, and that will help to make evolve the industry and the approach. And I wanted to make a remark because I found it interesting at the beginning. I noted that at least 3 of us have gone through a process to revisit our vision, our institutions, and we all were looking at being more effective, more closely, working more closely together. So I think we see a real change and shift in the paradigm. And I think we have a great opportunity now to build this trust and trying to have a new approach of the challenges of our industry. And we have understood also, I think, during this COVID pandemic, that we need each other and we need to work together. So I think we can build the trust that Denis was mentioning on this experience.
Thank you, Stefan. And I fully agree with you on being inclusive. I can assure you that we have been working really hard on all the panels, having a good split of regional representation, but also women. And this is the only actual panel where we don't have any women being present. But in general, we were happy to see that we had a good split, and it's something that we will focus on even more in future. To end the conclusion, because we are going over time, Turan, also to yourself, what are for you the 2 main topics we have to work on, and how would you like, also from IATA point of view a bit, how do you see the collaboration? IATA has always been seen as one of the leaders in the air cargo business, and we as an industry have very often sit back and waited for IATA to move or to take initiatives. So how do you see future collaboration, and what are the 2 main topics?
Thank you, Steve. Indeed, all the other panelists made very valid and very good points. Not more to add. Mainly, we will survive and flourish as long as we create more value to the end customer, to the final customer. And this process is door to door. So we have to virtually integrate. Logitech is more and more capable to provide several services, several solutions or platforms, like cloud services, like APIs and any RPAs and other things that can enable a fragmented chain to work together very effectively. So that's the ultimate way to go. I agree about the diversity. I agree to attract the young talent to the industry. That's very important, as my colleague said here, and not always need to be organically. Inorganically, partnerships and alliances through the vertical integration, through the value chain, through the door-to-door processes, starting from the first mile and ending in the last mile, and even the reverse flows, can be very well managed in a very virtually integrated chains of companies, chains of members of different organizations or different part of the same sector. Therefore, I believe that will be the ultimate way to go in order to see global air cargo industry flourish further and act as a key sector in the general under general economy, as 2020 and most probably 2021 has shown us.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much, Turan. And to all panelists, thank you very much for your contribution and for sharing your views and thoughts. We could have continued a bit more. We also had some questions from the audience, but we are already 11 minutes over time, and we have this Sustainability Awards coming up, and I don't want to take time away from this very important moment. So thank you very much. Look forward to continue discussions in the weeks and months to come. And Celine, back to you.
Thank you. Well done to you all. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Ah, good. I'd like to welcome Chris from Champ Cargo System. Let me just maybe show my screen. So it's the big moment. We have worked with Champ, with the team. We have worked on preparing those sustainability awards. It's the second edition. We had the first one last year in Budapest, where we awarded Wings for Ed for the award. And this year we decided to have two categories. I will let Chris McDermott, the new CEO of Champ Cargo System, describe and tell us more about the sustainability awards that Champ is sponsoring and helping us to organize. Chris?
Thank you, Celine. And Stephen and panelists, thank you for a great discussion there. I thought that was excellent. And talking about sustainability, the environment as well, touching on those subjects. And I'd just like to say that I'm delighted to be here today. As some of you can tell from my accent, I'm from Scotland. And I'd like to, as I said, thank Stephen for bringing these awards together in such a coherent way. I think it's, these awards, I think, bring together two really important concepts. One is obviously sustainability, and the other is innovation. And I think one really supports the other. I think, I think sustainability is now high on everyone's agenda, the politicians and the public at large. And I think that's quite an important fact as well. I think, I was thinking actually about that. I'm sure most of you have seen that advertisement, that famous watch manufacturer who say that, you never actually own their watch. You just look after it for the next generation. And I think the same is true for this planet. And I think we all have a responsibility to be better custodians of it for the generations to come. Also to say, why is sustainability important for Champ? Well, I think, the panelists there were talking about some of the concepts in terms of digitizing the supply chain and making it more connected. And we are doing a lot in that respect. Turam, I think, talked about opening up, systems with through APIs, and we're doing that with our products just now as well. But of course, in addition to that, we connect through our community platforms, many of the industry players, and provide connectivity right across the supply chain. Also, I must say that sustainability is one of our core corporate pillars. It's one of the we've got a fantastic team of employees worldwide who actually carry forward our sustainability initiatives in quite a meaningful way. And it's also part of our product development goals. For example, our auto weight and balance product is helping airlines to optimize aircraft loading and help reduce fuel burn and thereby emissions. So we are continuing to work on solutions that will provide a more sustainable future for this industry. And the other thing is, why we are supporting these awards? Well, it's not just out of the goodness of our heart, I must say, although that is part of it, but also it provides us with great access to innovative ideas and players in the market who are bringing together concepts that hopefully will start to change the sustainability agenda even more. So that's why I'm really pleased and honored to be presenting these awards today. Now, in time-honored tradition, and without any further ado, I shall announce who the companies are. There are, of course, two categories this year. There are 3 corporate finalists and 3 startup finalists. I should say that we received 23 applications for the awards from quite a diverse group of companies. And as I said, these are the shortlisted ones. If we can just talk about each of them in turn. Pelican, they've created a family of durable, reusable shipping containers, and they're made from recyclable components. And they're beginning to help companies significantly impact their sustainability and agenda by also providing cost savings through the supply, the cold chain, I should say. Sky pooling has been brought forward by Jettainer, and they present the project, which is essentially a ULD asset sharing platform, and it's a key driver for increased sustainability for the industry. And then the third one is VRR, and they're addressing the inefficiency of bringing back empty containers by plane by creating smaller foldable containers that carry the same volume of cargo. This is the first inflatable ULD in the world, I believe. Anyway, I have an envelope in front of me, and I will open the envelope in time-honored.
That's cool.
Yeah, in time-honored tradition. So, and the
we
winner.
Don't have the music.
Drum roll. And the winner of the corporate category is Pelican Biothermal.
Great. So I wish we could be all together, but you know the ceremony will be made when next time we meet physically. I'd like to invite Pelican to receive their awards. Yeah.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks very much, Celine and Chris. I'm Adam Tates. I'm the Director of Worldwide Marketing with Pelican Biothermal. Obviously, I'm maybe one of the few Americans on here. I'm located in the Midwest, so I have a few comments. Thank you very much. Pelican Biothermal is honored to have been nominated and now won this award. I'm thrilled to accept on our behalf. Our efforts to document the sustainability of our Credo Cube shipper used for shipping life sciences materials started 10 years ago. Our customers are primarily pharmaceutical manufacturers, and they were looking for an affordable and sustainable packaging shipping solution to use globally. Our Credo shipper is light, small, and reusable compared to more traditional, bulky, single-use shippers. Superior performance is achieved through advanced cooling and insulating materials. Our shipper revolutionized the industry, and now several shippers using similar materials to ship life sciences materials are offered by our competitors. Key points of this class of temperature controlled packaging are less carbon emitted during transport due to smaller size, less landfill due to reuse, easily recyclable components, and less land use due to reduction in necessary warehouse space. We've carried these benefits over into several different shippers used across several different life sciences segments. Our latest is the Credo Cargo, a pallet accepting device used globally to ship critical pharmaceuticals via air cargo. The Credo Cargo has the same benefits of our original parcel shippers. We're looking forward to working as part of the TICA Sustainability Strategic Partnership Program. Thank you very much for this award, and I'm thrilled to accept it on behalf of Pelican Biothermal.
Thank you, and well done. Congratulations also to VRR and Sky Pooling. And when we had the Sustainability for Cargo webinar last week, we had this conversation about, your three solutions are really, really cool. And I can see that you three as companies, you can also collaborate together to build, further sustainable systems to avoid waste, to avoid single-use plastic and packaging, to reduce the weight on board and therefore the fuel consumption, etc. So just by combining those three solutions, it's just fantastic. So well done again, and well done also to Sky Pooling and VRR. Chris.
Absolutely, thank you. Next one, and as you can see, the three startup finalists are Be-On, Drone Delivery Canada, and Nepal Flying Labs. This was actually a very interesting assessment we had to make as a panel to go through and score these. And I was really fascinated by some of the ideas coming forward in the startup area. Beyond IoT provides real-time tracking for sensitive and valuable assets, which are transported by air. And users can monitor temperature shocks and the global position in real time. And the solution is compliant with air transport standards. And one of the things about this that we really liked was the battery life at 3 years to ensure sustainability. Drone Delivery Canada, again, a really innovative use of drones to essentially reach out to remote communities. And the thing about this was there were lots of patrons involved as well, and all flights were being monitored from DDC's Toronto operations. So that was again a really good solution. And Nepal Flying Labs, this is one that operated humanitarian and cargo, medical cargo drones, and essentially was about linking experts in the center with rural communities. And this was particularly around tuberculosis, to be able to diagnose the tests, fly the samples back for diagnosis. And actually, through this, they actually have detected 26 positive cases in 8 remote health facilities. So, once again, without any further ado, I shall open this envelope.
Second envelope.
And the winner of this one is Nepal Flying Labs.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can I, Biplav from Nepal Flying Labs.
Thank you so much. I'm Biplav Pagani, the program director at Nepal Flying Labs, and I'm honored to receive this award on behalf of the company. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, TICA. Thank you, Champ Cargo Systems, and all the TICA members for voting and having faith in us. The credit goes to my team at Nepal Flying Labs, and only with the support from We Robotics and our public health partners, we have reached till here. Nepal is very vulnerable in terms of disaster, and the lack of proper accessibility due to difficult topographical conditions makes us one of the poorest in rural healthcare. So in order to reach the sustainable development goals, it is very important for each household and village to have themselves connected with the needed aid at all times. Therefore, we plan to scale our drone technology to other rural locations and replicate similar network of medical cargo drones to help more people in the coming days. I would like to thank TICA for providing this opportunity to showcase our story in front of you all. With that, we would like to call for partnerships as we are looking for organizations interested to work in Nepal to make impact and help the vulnerable rural population get life-saving supplies. We want to fly more, connect more rural locations, and create more impact in people's health, lives as a whole. As said earlier in the sustainable cargo session, it is said that drones are the future of air cargo, but I believe drones are the present of air cargo deliveries, and we are using it to save lives in Nepal. Thank you.
Thank you, Biplav. Well done. Congratulations to you. I don't know if you can hear me. I know I have sound issues, so I'm.
Yeah, definitely, I can hear you.
Okay. I would like to really congratulate you once again, and also Drone Delivery Canada and Beyond IoT. Those, the 3 of you, you are 3 winners. You made it to the final, and we are really delighted to have you in this 2nd edition. And personally, I'm volunteering to help in Nepal. I wish I go back soon in this beautiful country.
Yeah, please, you're most welcome.
I would like to congratulate you all, and thank you, Chris and Champ's team for the whole support on the Sustainability Awards. And I'd like to give the floor back to Stephen for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, but I would first like to say something also about the Sustainability Award, Celine, if I can. I also would like to congratulate all the participants. We had some great entries again, and I hope you're going to have even better and more next year. I do want to congratulate all the finalists and especially the winners. We will again give them also some visibility and use them in our communication. I also would like to thank Celine, you, for organizing it again. We started our collaboration as TICA with you on sustainability. You again did a great exercise putting all this together. So thank you very much. And also, Chris, a big thanks to you. We started this initiative with your predecessor, Arnaud, who want to do something on sustainability. And we are really pleased that you share the same visions, that we can continue to collaborate with you, that we can continue to work. This partnership is very important for us. And in any way we can make the best out of it together for everybody. We look very much to build on it. And thank you very much for your support. Without you and without Champ and the financial contribution, we would not be able to organize these sustainability awards and this event. So thank you very much for that, Chris.
No, thank you, Stephen, and a great event. Thank you.
Next time we do it in real life again, and it will even be better. You will see.
Well, let's hope so.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Then another important one, our yearly Hall of Fames. Unfortunately, we again have to do it in a digital way. This is also something which is better, easier, and more fun to do if you can do it in real life, if you can talk to the people, if you can really see them. But it's not a reason not to do anything, we said, so we also want to do it virtual. The presentation will be done as normally by the outgoing chairman, which is Sebastian Scholte. So Sebastian, are you around?
I'm here.
There he is. Thank you, Sebastian.
Nice to see you. Yeah, welcome. Yeah, thanks for giving this opportunity. The Hall of Fame, like you said already, is something a very prestigious award that is given to individuals that have made an outstanding achievement in our industry in terms of development of our cargo, leadership, and innovation. And it's an honor and a great pleasure to announce that Larry Coyne is awarded this Hall of Fame for this year. I've known Larry for many years. I think Larry is a very known individual and respected individual in our industry, not only because he has established his company and built his company to Larry, the Coyne Aviation, Coyne Airlines, which is a great airline with very good, reliable service to sometimes difficult parts in the world, but he has also made a big contribution to our industry. He's passionate about the whole air cargo supply chain and improving our industry, and has also been a past vice chairman and chairman, and is now he's joining 54 other leaders that before have received the prestigious award. And again, it's an honor to have him now on with the Hall of Fame with this award. And I would like to pass the digital floor to Larry, who will say some words right now, I think.
Hello, my name is Larry Coyne. I am the CEO and founder of Coyne Airways, and we've been operating in the air cargo business for 25 years. I am humbled and honored to be inducted into the Air Cargo Hall of Fame, and I want to thank TICA and the Chairman's Council for picking me out of the field, including many other deserving nominations. The existing Hall of Fame members all did exceptional things against the odds. That is serving us and inspiring us in a way that impacts us today. Here are three of my favorites. Fred Smith, the founder of FedEx. Commander Waite, who conceived the Berlin airlift, which arguably spared us a nuclear war. Joe Suter, the man who built the 747 after Boeing had given higher priority to the supersonic transport and to the 737. They say that the Boeing 747 saved Boeing. Let me share my story with you, those who already don't know. I started as a charter broker, and when I wanted to become an airline, I found that the route was blocked. To become an airline, you had to own your own aircraft, saddle yourself with debt, take on a fleet of workers to be busy with maintenance, compliance, staffing, and of course, safety. Commercial viability often came way down the line, and that's why so many startups failed. Big carriers survived because they were state-owned and subsidized in one way or another. My company was an upstart who just didn't belong in this business. My creation, Coin Airways, is a virtual airline with no aircraft. I believe that's one of the reasons for our commercial success. We concentrated mostly on commercial matters and left the weightier issues for our partners supplying us with lift. We managed to run scheduled services to difficult to reach destinations with freight from all over the world. And over the past quarter of a century, we have moved over 300,000 tons of cargo, turned over $1 billion in sales, never taken on any debt, and made a profit every year. We had the luxury of chartering the most efficient and suitable aircraft for each job. For our scheduled services, we contracted the same 747s and 777s every week. Our longest continuous partners for these services were 8 years and 6 years. To our suppliers, we were partners, providing them with freight rather than acting as a competitor. We were using up light or empty sectors of their schedules that couldn't otherwise be filled, and this gave them better utilization of their assets. That made our business very attractive to them. Similarly, our interline partners were very happy to provide us with space on their flights on a year-round basis. Best of all, our customers appreciated what we did because to some destinations, there were no other alternatives. In retrospect, I am especially proud because we brought services to markets that had none. We also helped existing carriers to get better use of their fleets. We helped move cargo without increasing the number of aircraft, thus making the industry more efficient. Chris Foyle, who brought the Antonov 124 to the West, said in his book that we were the original NABA, that's non-asset-based airline. We are not the only ones anymore, and it pleases me greatly because I think NABAs can be good for the industry, good for airlines and customers alike. COVID-19 has been bad for passenger carriers, but a short-term boon for cargo operators. Currently, many carriers who have little passenger business are considering converting their excess capacity into freighters. This will increase competition for freight and depress yields. If passenger volumes return to pre-pandemic levels, this conversion of aircraft may be miscalculated. All cargo operators have enjoyed a nice boost over the last 10 months, but once the COVID vaccines are delivered, they may face a tougher time in the middle of 2021 as passenger flights increase. No one in our industry can be complacent. We face potential increased trade tariffs, lower economic growth combined with more stringent requirements to reduce emissions for years to come. These are complicated and multifaceted issues on the horizon. Fasten your seatbelt for what's likely to be a rough ride in the years ahead. In closing, I would like to say a few words about TICA. I have been involved with it for most of the past 24 years. It has been a very positive force in promoting business, not just amongst members, but by its advocacy work with various organizations, including the World Customs Organization, IATA, OECD, and ICAO. I believe that the current TICA management are re-establishing it as the trade association for our industry. I strongly urge you all to support it and get involved. One of the great benefits of the TICA family is the way members help each other. I have benefited from that help, and I'd like to thank all those great people who helped me on my way. Once more, I would like to thank you for inducting me into the Hall of Fame. I am grateful, and I hope to continue to support the industry and other TICA members in the years ahead. Thank you very much. Hello, my name is
Sebastian, you're still around, or do I take... there you are.
I'm still around, yeah.
Perfect.
Well, thanks, Larry. I think, yeah, I give the floor back to you, Stephen.
Okay, thank you very much, Sebastian, and for doing this. Hopefully soon we can put you on stage together with Larry to hand over his award and to celebrate it. I'm not going to take much more of your time. We are beyond schedule. I want to congratulate once again, Larry. I think it's really well deserved. Also, thank you very much, Larry, for your kind words. Um, I think it was a great experience, this digital ACF for us. We learned a lot. We will not replace digital with physical. I cannot wait to meet all of you again because digitally we can do a lot. But having that drink in the later hours in the bar, having these in between discussions during the coffee chats, all this we do miss and is so important in this industry. So I look forward to meet you all. We will continue with this digital because this Zoom also allows us to be more and closer engaged with the community, with our members on certain projects. So we will try to find a good balance. A lot of things have been said in these 6 webinars. We will gather all the information. We will come back on them. We will use them in our strategy, especially in the execution of our strategy. 2021 will be a great year for TICA. We will have a new DG coming on board with a lot of experience, a great network. We have some interesting projects that we started. Specifically for this ACF, I do want to thank a few people and a few companies, especially our sponsors who made this possible. And we have had a lot of sponsors, but I really specifically want to mention the 2 main sponsors of this. It's Polar and Turkish Cargo. Thank you very much for that support in this ACF. Without knowing what we could deliver, you trusted us. And trust is an important one we learned today in the discussion. So thanks for that trust, and we will make sure it's worth and valued for you as well. I also would like to thank a few people that made this happen and have been working really hard behind the scenes. Kenneth and Rachel from the Miami office, thank you a lot. You did a great job. Justina from Change Horizon, thanks a lot for all your support. But also Stat Media Times, our partner in this. We really had a great collaboration. I look so much forward to do more with you. And especially Sukadi and Shetan, thanks a lot for all your work. Very much appreciated. It's a pity we cannot put you on stage. It's a pity we cannot applaud for you, but do realize we are extremely grateful for all the hard work you have been doing. And without you, all of you, it would not have been possible to do it. So thanks a lot. I wish everybody a great day, one more day, and we can celebrate the weekend, although some regions in the world already have like that Friday evening. The weekend starts tomorrow. Happy holidays to everybody. It's going to be strange holidays while we still have this COVID pandemic, but 2021 is at the corner. We have the vaccines being transported thanks to the air cargo industry. So do raise the glass for 2020 and all the positive things. And I look forward to 2021 and to meet all of you again, digital or physically, and continue all the hard work we are doing. Thank you very much and have a great evening.